Thank God this incredible HFY masterpiece found you today. Witness the legend starting now. The Academy thought the Quelvin cadet was fragile. 3 days later, a human proved that hurting her friend was the most expensive mistake they would ever make. So, here is the thing about the Galactic Military Academy that nobody tells you in the recruitment hollows. They say it is a place of honor, discipline, and unity among the stars. What they do not mention is that it is also a place where ancient prejudices wear uniforms and call themselves tradition. My name is Krell and I am a documentation specialist for the Academy, which is a fancy way of saying I watch things happen, write them down and try not to get killed in the process. My species, the Vent Harry. We are observers by nature, 4 eyes, excellent memory and absolutely zero combat capability. Perfect for paperwork, terrible for everything else. The incident happened on a Tuesday. Well, what we call Tuesday. Humans have their own name for it, but honestly, their calendar makes my head hurt. Training Ground 7 was packed that morning. Combat drills, scenario simulations, the usual stuff meant to turn soft academy recruits into proper soldiers. Commander Vexthor was running the show. Big guy, even by Crevolian standards. His species prides themselves on being the warrior elite of the galaxy. 8 foot tall, 4 arms, skin-like armored plates, and an ego that could fill a cargo bay. The exercise was simple. Navigate the obstacle course. Extract the wounded. Get to the extraction point. Standard stuff. We had 40 cadets participating, including 2 that would change everything. Rena Veil, human, female, 5 feet 6 inches of pure death world insanity wrapped in a regulation uniform. She had been at the Academy for 6 months and in that time she had broken 11 training records, hospitalized 3 sparring partners, and somehow befriended the least likely person in the entire facility. Cape. Yes, that is actually his name. He is a Quelvin, which is a species. That looks like someone combined a teddy bear with a butterfly, and then gave it anxiety. They are from a garden world, so peaceful that their greatest historical conflict was called the disagreement of soft words. Pape stood maybe 3 feet tall, had fur that shifted colors with his emotions, and possessed all the combat instinct of a particularly gentle houseplant. Why was he even in the Military Academy scholarship program? His people wanted representation. Poor little guy. Rena had adopted him on day 1. Not in a patronizing way, mind you. She genuinely liked him. They studied together, ate together, and she had personally threatened 5 different cadets who made fun of his size. Those threats were delivered quietly, calmly, and with the kind of smile that made you check your life insurance policy. The exercise started fine. Rena and Pip were on different teams, but they waved to each other before heading into the course. She gave him a thumbs up. He changed colors to happy yellow. It was adorable. I made a note about cadet morale. Then everything went wrong. Pep's team was moving through the electrified barrier section. Tricky part requires timing and coordination. The barriers cycle on and off. You have to move in the gaps. Standard procedure is to go one at a time with a spotter calling the rhythm. Except Sergeant Draxmore, Vexthor's favorite little toad, decided standard procedure was boring. He cranked up the cycle speed. Just turned the dial. No warning, no authorization. I saw him do it. I was standing right there, with my data pad watching, and I saw his smug face as he made the course 3 times. Harder than regulation allowed. Pipe did not stand a chance. The barrier caught him mid-jump. 50,000 volts designed to stun a full-grown Crevolian hit a creature that weighed maybe 60 pounds. The sound was horrible. Like meat hitting a griddle mixed with a scream that no creature that gentle should ever have to make. He flew backward, smoking, convulsing, and collapsed in a heap. Everything stopped. Everyone stared except Rena. She was across the training ground 100 meters away. But I swear on my ancestors, I saw her head snap around the instant it happened. Her face went blank, not angry, not shocked. Just nothing. Empty. She dropped her practice rifle, turned and started walking toward the obstacle course. Not running, walking, slow, steady, purposeful. Draxmore was laughing, actually laughing. saying something about how the little furball should have moved faster. How this was a military academy, not a petting zoo. Rena kept walking. Medics rushed to Pip. His fur was charred black in places, still sparking with residual current. They loaded him on a stretcher, rushing him toward the medical facility. Rena stopped walking. She stood there 20 m from Draxmore watching them take her friend away. Then she looked at the sergeant. Really looked at him. I have seen a lot of expressions in my time at the academy. Rage, fear, determination, joy. But I had never seen what was on Rena Veil's face in that moment. It was calculation, cold, mathematical. Like she was measuring him for a coffin and doing the math in her head. Draxner noticed her staring. He puffed up his chest, grinned with too many teeth, and flexed his upper arms. Rena said nothing. She just turned and walked away. That silence was worse than any threat. Trust me on this. I have 4 eyes, and all of them were screaming danger signals. Commander Vexthor dismissed the incident. Equipment malfunction, he called it. These things happen in training. The build's character, the little Quelvin, would be fine probably. But I kept watching Rena. She went to her quarters, calm as still water, and that is when I knew someone was going to die, or at least wish they had. The official incident report took Commander Vexthor approximately 4 minutes to file. I know because I was required to witness it. For minutes to dismiss the near death of a cadet as a training mishap. Equipment sensitivity error, he called it. Recommended that Quelvin physiology be noted as incompatible with standard voltage. Parameters going forward. No mention of Draxmore touching the controls. No mention of unauthorized difficulty. Adjustment. Nothing. I filed my own report naturally. 3 copies. All were flagged as pending review, which is Academy speak for we are putting this in a drawer and forgetting it exists. The Academy brass did not care. Pip was alive. Technically, his species had decent regenerative capability for electrical burns. He would recover, move along. Nothing to see here. Maintain discipline and order. They were idiots. I went to the medical bay that evening. Professional obligation, you understand? Documentation, specialist duties, and all that. Definitely not because I wanted to see what would happen when Rena showed up. Who am I kidding? I absolutely wanted to see what would happen. Pep was in Tank 3, suspended in regenerative gel. The medical staff had him stabilized, but he looked rough. His fur was patchy, burned away in several places. His colors were stuck in this dull gray that Quelvin only show when they are in serious pain. He was conscious barely, and his little hands kept twitching. Rena arrived at 2000 hours. Exact. She had showered, changed into fresh fatigues. Her hair was pulled back tight, still damp. Her face was clean, composed, calm. She carried a small bag with her. She nodded to the medical officer on duty, a Hinterine named Nurse Sylv. Sylv is good people. 7 tentacles, 3 hearts, and actually gives a damn about patients. Rare quality in military medicine. Sylv let Rena through without question. I positioned myself near the observation window. 4 eyes have advantages. I could watch Rena and monitor the hallway simultaneously. Rena pulled up a chair next to Pip's tank. She sat down, placed her bag on her lap, and just looked at him for a long moment. Then she started talking quietly. I could not hear the words through the glass, but I could see her lips moving. She was telling him something, maybe a story, maybe a promise. Her expression never changed, still calm, still controlled. Here is what you need to understand about humans. Most species, when they are angry, they show it immediately. Creolians roar and smash things. Vexthor like me turn purple and vibrate. Enter-release stress pheromones. You know where you stand. Humans go quiet. The madder they get, the calmer they appear. It is a survival mechanism from their death world. Predator behavior. The assess plan and then strike when you least expect it. Emotional suppression is a tactical advantage. Rena sat with Pip for 2 hours. She reached into her bag and pulled out a small data pad. She read to him. I later found out it was a book from Earth. Something about rabbits. Pip's colors shifted slightly toward pale blue com. When she finally stood to leave, she placed one hand on the tank. Flat palm against the glass. Hip managed to raise one small paw and press it to the same spot from inside. She leaned close and said something, one sentence. I am decent at reading lips. I will fix this. Then she left. Same calm walk, same blank expression. She nodded to Nurse Sylvk on the way out. I followed her at a distance, of course. Self-preservation instincts. She went back to her quarters. Lights on for approximately 30 minutes, then off. But here is the thing. Her roommate, a Vexillian named Tora. She left the room 20 minutes after lights out. I caught her in the corridor. Asked where she was going. Rena told me to leave. Tora said very politely, very calmly. Said she needed the room to herself tonight. Said it would be safer. Safer. That word spread through the academy like radiation. By morning, everyone knew. The human girl's friend got hurt. The human girl went quiet. Command did nothing. Species that had been in the galaxy longer than humans had. Records started getting nervous. The Crevolians, who feared nothing, suddenly remembered that humanity's home world had killed 90% of everything that ever lived on it multiple times, and humans were what survived. The Phylaxians, whose entire military doctrine was based on intimidation, recalled that humans invented the concept of mutually assured destruction and then looked at it as a reasonable foreign policy. Even the Xenthaxes, who were cybernetically enhanced and supposedly emotionless, started calculating probability matrices for violent human responses to perceived injustice. Deathworld or behavior, they called it. Whispered in the mess halls, the barracks, the training grounds. Rena went about her normal routine the next day. Classes, physical training, meals. She smiled at appropriate times, answered questions when called upon, helped a struggling cadet with their marksmanship. Perfectly normal. That was what terrified everyone, because we all knew when a human goes that calm, that controlled, that perfectly normal, someone is about to have a very bad day. I just hoped I would be far enough away to watch safely when it happened. Spoiler alert, I was not. It happened 3 days after the incident. 3 days of Rena being absolutely horrifyingly normal. 3 days of the entire academy walking on eggshells around her. 3 days of Commander Vexthor strutting around like he owned the place because, well, he kind of did. I was in Training Ground 7 again. Paperwork never stops. Even when you are pretty sure someone is about to commit murder or whatever, passes for murder when the victim can regenerate. Vexthor was running drills with his personal squad, showing off mostly Crevolian's love and audience. He was demonstrating some kind of advanced grappling technique, tossing around a practice dummy that weighed about 300 pounds like it was a child's toy. Drax was there too, laughing at his commander's jokes, being generally awful. Business as usual. Then Rena walked in, not stormed in, not charged in, walked. Same calm pace she had maintained for 3 days. She was in her standard duty uniform. No weapons, no armor, just the entire training ground went silent. 40 cadets, 6 instructors, all frozen. You could have heard a pin drop in vacuum. Vexthor noticed her. He actually grinned. All 4 arms crossed over his massive chest. 8 feet of arrogant predator looking down at 5 feet 6 inches of human. Well, well, he said. His voice was deep, rumbling, the kind that vibrated your bones. The little Deathworlder finally decides to show some spine. You here to file a complaint, cadet, because I believe we already covered that. Accidents happen. Your pet should be more careful. Rena stopped about 10 feet away from him. Her hands were relaxed at her sides. Her face was calm. When she spoke, her voice was conversational, almost friendly. Pep is not my pet, she said. He is my friend. There is a difference. Vexthor laughed. The sound echoed off the walls. Is there? He seems rather fragile for this environment. Perhaps the military is not the place for his kind. Perhaps you should reconsider your choice of companions. Rena tilted her head slightly, like she was considering his words, actually thinking about them. You are right, she said. This environment is dangerous. Accidents happen all the time. Do they not, Commander? Oh, I did not like where this was going. I started backing toward the exit. Slowly, Carefully, Vexthor uncrossed his arms. He sensed something, too. Predator instincts. They are useful. I suppose they do, he said. His tone shifted harder now. You have something on your mind, cadet. Just one thing, Rena said. She took a step forward. When someone hurts my friend, I hurt them back. It is a human thing. You might have read about it. But Sora's expression darkened. That sounds like a threat. Threatening a superior officer is a court-martial offense. Rena smiled. It was not a nice smile. Oh no, Commander. Not a threat. A cultural exchange. Educational purposes. Then she moved. I have watched a lot of combat footage. Hundreds of hours. Species from across the galaxy, fighting in every style you can think of. I thought I understood violence. I understood nothing. Rena covered 10 feet in less than a second. Dexter was fast for his size, got 2 arms up to block, but she was not where he expected. She dropped low, slid under his guard, and drove her fist into his knee joint. The sound was like a gunshot. Cabolian joints are triple reinforced. She hit it hard enough to hyperextend it backward. Vexthor roared. Actual Roar swung down with his upper left arm. A blow that would have shattered a normal human spine. Rena rolled with it. The impact still caught her shoulder, sent her tumbling. But she turned the tumble into a controlled roll and came up on her feet. I saw her That had hurt. She did not care. Around the training ground, people were screaming. Some cadets ran, smart ones. Others stood there with their mouths open. Idiots. Draxmore started forward. To help his commander. A Hentari cadet built like a tank grabbed him with 4 tentacles and yanked him back. Not your fight, the Henturi hissed. Vexthor was not used to being hurt. He charged forward. All 4 arms reaching, trying to grab. Crush overwhelm with superior strength. Rena did not run. She stepped in close, closer than anyone seen would get to an enraged Quelvin. She ducked under his upper arms, blocked his lower left with her forearm, and drove her palm into his throat. Not hard enough to kill, hard enough to make him gag, choke, stumble. She grabbed his lower right arm. The one he used least, relied on least. Planted her foot against his hip for leverage, and pulled. No, wait, that is not accurate. She wrenched, twisted, used her entire body. Her legs, her core, her back. Humans are built for persistence hunting. For endurance, for applying force over time. Creolians can regenerate. Everyone knows this. They are proud of it. Limbs grow back in a few months. It is a combat advantage, but it still has to come off first. The sound was worse than anything I have ever heard. Tearing, cracking, rending. Vexthor was screaming. Rena was silent. Is why God gave humans such. The arm separated at the shoulder joint with a wet that eye. Will hear in my nightmares until I die. Rena staggered back holding a 4 feet long Quelvin arm. Blue blood was pouring from the shoulder socket. Dexter collapsed to one knee. 3 remaining arms clutching at the wound. Howling in pain and rage and disbelief. Rena stood there breathing hard, sweating. She looked down at the arm in her hands. Looked back at Vexthor, then at Draxmore, who had gone very, very pale. Tell your sergeant, she said, still breathing hard. But Pip says hello, she turned. Started walking toward the exit. Still carrying the arm casually like it was a gym bag. The entire training ground was dead silent except for Vexthor's gasping. Security was rushing in. Medical teams, officers, everyone shouting at once. Reno walked right past them. They parted like water. Nobody wanted to be next. I stood there all 4 eyes wide, data pad forgotten. A cadet next to me, a Phosian, whispered, "What do we do?" I watched Rena disappear through the doorway. Calm as ever, carrying a commander's arm. I said slowly. Stay very, very far away from her friends. The Phuxian nodded. Agreement achieved. Chaos is a funny word. It sounds dramatic, exciting even. In reality, chaos is just a lot of people running in different directions while screaming into communicators and accomplishing absolutely nothing. Security teams mobilized. Medical personnel rushed to Vexthor Academy. Brass started yelling at each other about protocols and procedures and who was responsible for what. It was beautiful in a pathetic sort of way. And through it all, Renee walked. She took the main corridor, not the back passages. Not the service tunnels, the main corridor. The one with the big windows overlooking the central courtyard. The one that every cadet uses between classes. There were witnesses. So many witnesses. Cadet Jorax, a Fixian in his 3rd year, told me later that he was heading to the mess hall when he saw her. Just walking, normal pace. Normal expression, except she was carrying a severed arm that was still dripping. Blue blood on the floor. He pressed himself against the wall and held his breath until she passed. Cadet Yana, a Zumax with full combat augmentation and supposedly no fear response, actually climbed into a waste disposal chute to avoid crossing her path. 3 different security officers saw her. All 3 made the conscious decision to wait until she was out of sight before calling it in. Self-preservation instinct is universal apparently. I followed. Of course, I followed. This was the best documentation opportunity of my entire career. Also, I am an idiot. Rena went straight to the medical bay. Same one where Pip was recovering. She walked through the entrance, nodded to the scanner, waited patiently while it cleared her for entry. The scanner flagged the biological material she was carrying. Unregistered organic matter. Please report to security. Rena looked at the scanner, looked at the arm, looked back at the scanner. It is registered now, she said, then kept walking. The scanner wisely did not argue. Nurse Sylvk was at the main station. All 7 tentacles froze when Rena walked in. 3 of Sylv's hearts probably stopped. I need to see Pip, Rena said politely like she was asking for directions. Sylv looked at her, looked at the arm, looked back at her. Tank 3. Sylvk said quietly. Same as before. Rena smiled. Thank you. You are really good at your job. I appreciate you. Then she walked to Tank 3. Pip was awake. He had been recovering well according to the charts. His fur was growing back in patches. His colors were starting to normalize. He was reading something on a data pad. When Rena approached, he looked up, saw her. His colors shifted to happy yellow immediately. Then he